So here I'm back again, and I'm recording a selection of tips, hints and tricks to hopefully help you newer players progress in World of Tanks and teach you how you can most effectively use either your armour or the advantage of your certain tank. Here I'm in my T29 and my friend who's offered to help Helldiver is in his IS3, and we're going up to the hill to show off the strengths of tanks such as the T29 or the T32 or many of the American tanks that prefer to go hull down and use their strong turret armour to fight off enemy tanks, as I've shown in other videos. So I'm heading up to the hill, and then from there I can show you how you can effectively use your armour. We'll also see a slightly funnier ending than you would have expected, with my friend committing himself to a rather cheap laugh. So here, I'm cresting the hill, and I spot the IS3, and this is a common position many T29 drivers would want to take on Himmelsdorf, especially if you're top tier. So he's side-scoping just to make sure if I do shoot him, he's got the best chance of dodging. However, I'm telling him in the chat, shoot me in the turret, go on, shoot me. So he obliges, and I'm just wiggling here to slightly increase the chance that he could miss or bounce. And there you see, he bounces off my right cheek, and even the cheeks allow a bounce off a tier 8 tank, even though I'm tier 7. He then tries to take another shot, and due to the IS-3's great accuracy, misses horrendously. He then pops out for another one after telling me that about his accuracy, and misses again. So there we see some great play from the IS-3, showing off its wonderful Russian accuracy. However, he pops one more shot at me, and this time I decide not to move to see if he can have a better chance, and again he bounces straight off the top of my tank. However, I decide to move up a bit and show him my hull, and then therefore allow him to penetrate me much more easily. And there you see he goes straight through my lower / upper plate. It's the bit where they connect, easily dealing me 400 damage, whereas before he could not. And he goes through once again. So I move up and say, have a go, pop me in the commander's hatch, which is the small area on top of my turret which can be easily penetrated. So there you go, he shoots straight through my commander's hatch, showing that even when you are close, even when you are hull down, you have some weaknesses, and this is why you should move back and forth. Finally he decides to ram me to death. Move on to the next clip. So here you see me in my T49, and I'm with my friend, and here we're going to show you how to side scrape and angle. So my 128mm of penetration here is easily enough to go through his 100mm of frontal armour when he is flat on towards me. However, when he starts to angle, you'll see there one bounce, there a pen, and I believe I pen again, and he decides that he's not angled enough, angles slightly more, and I start to bounce automatically off the front of his hull, which shows that his armour value, due to the fact that it is angled at roughly 45 degrees, matches the penetration of my gun, and therefore I cannot penetrate him. He's now wiggling, and this also helps to increase the armour of your tank. Here I managed to plant 2 shots straight through his machine gun port, kind of making him seem slightly foolish. However, now he's going to show us how to side scrape effectively, and then decides to head behind that corner there, and I just back off and have a mess around while he's getting the position in his slow heavy Russian tank, the KV-220. He asks how much pen I've got on my gun, and is surprised when I tell him I've got 128. It's fairly decent pen against many tier 5s. So. But here we see him side scrape around this corner, showing us just his tracks, and you see one shot bounce, two shot bounce, three shot also a bounce, and this shows that again his armour is overmatching the penetration of my gun. And finally there you see the fact that the tracks will also in this position eat shots, such as they'll basically, the tracks have a health, and if you knock away their health, then the tracks fall off, which is why the tracks fall off and eventually they fall. However, here you see me, and I'm telling him now I'll side scrape and show that you actually have to have some side armour to successfully side scrape. So the T49 has something like 10mm of side armour, and here you see me trying to side scrape to him, and it's just not working at all. So we tell that to stop, and basically this is just a short guide on how to effectively side scrape and angle your armour. Check the next. So finally here I am, and I'm showing you a slight guide to how the camo on World of Tanks works. I'm here in the middle on, is this Miravanka? I think this is, no, Malinovka, sorry. And my friend is in his AMX 1390. So as you can see in this chat, I'm telling him, I was asking him what his arm was, and then we were having a bit of a chat, and then I say to him, go and hide in a bush, make sure that you're in the bush, and then fire at me. So there, when he's in the bush, he can fire at me and I will be able to see where he is when he fires. I then tell him that he should move back behind the bush, so he needs to spot me using the spot mechanic, move back 15 meters behind the bush, and you can tell which is 15 meters by if the bush becomes so you cannot see through it. And then when the bush is like this, that means you can't be spotted when you fire, as you are 15 meters back from the bush, and therefore the bush will not become see-through when you fire. So here he's giving me a bit of back chat after I tell him how, and we see him fire through the bush once, twice, and 3 times I believe, me bouncing 2 of the shells and him penetrating 1. However, I could not see him at all, and this was because he moved back 15 meters behind the cover, meaning it stayed so I could not see through it. However, I then tell him just to go through the whole process once again, and he says, well, here I tell him to go through it all again, and he moves back into the bush, and when he fires, the bush and all other soft cover and foliage around him becomes transparent. However, when he moves back 15 meters behind the bush and fires at me once more, it becomes translucent, allowing him to fire from cover without giving away his position, as you'll see here. So that fires into me, I fire a shot blind because I have no clue where he is, and this is a tactic that should be used by most light tank and possibly even medium tank drivers out there if you're kind of outmatched by a few more heavies, or you can use it to stop a conflict that you don't necessarily want without first lowering the health of the enemy. So here I'm moving forward saying, kill me, and then he tells me it's out of ammo, so I decide that maybe it's my time, I can try and kill him. Load a HE shell, because as you saw at the start, I found his health lower. But by the time I get there, he's reloaded. I fire one shot,
Critical
which
hit.
goes into his track, and his track eats it, and I do 140 damage. I try and wiggle, but
We're dead
I'm
for.
dead.
Everyone get out.
So, hopefully, these 3 clips allow you to understand slightly more about the basic mechanics of World of Tanks. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.